Hello, my name is Derek Reed. I'm 30 years old, and I'm currently incarcerated at Caswell Correctional Center in North Carolina, serving a 12 to 16-year prison sentence for crimes that I did not commit. Back on July 24th of 2017, an incident occurred that led to this wrongful conviction. I was charged with multiple counts of assault with a deadly weapon with intent to kill,
This call is from a North Carolina correctional facility.
and inflicting serious injury. On the night in question, I went to pick up one of my friends or an individual that I was attempting to befriend at the time by the name of Caitlin Barrier. I thought she was a pretty girl. I had recently ran into her on Facebook. I didn't know much about her. I was only going off of visuals, really, and I thought she was attractive, so I did what any regular guy would do, sent a friend request, and the first several times that I actually interacted with this individual and got to meet her in person, I didn't experience any red flags. So what happened next was truly surprising. I really couldn't have been prepared for it, to say the least. So on July 24th, Caitlin had requested to hang out. So I proceeded to go to the location, pick her up, and come back to the house and chill for a couple hours. What eventually ended up happening is later on, it came to a point where she requested me to take her to a location, which ended up being where the incident took place, which is a place by the name of Pawnway in Lexington, North Carolina. It's a pawn shop. It's pretty popular in the small city that I live in. So after being instructed to go there, I didn't think anything suspicious of it. I had followed her request and took her to the location. And upon arriving, it's a moment that everything took a left turn. Now, I was pretty self-sufficient. At the time, I was only 22 years old, but I had my own car. I had pretty expensive music equipment, high-end firearms, things of the such that had value. So I guess she seen that and took it that I was financially stable. And it came to a point where after I arrived and pulled up at the location, there were two Caucasian males that I see standing leaned up against a Honda Civic, a silver 1997 Honda Civic. And I thought it was a little suspicious. And as I approached this location in front of the pawn shop that she asked me to take her to, she made the statement, "There's my brother and his best friend. You don't want any problems with these guys, so I suggest this goes smoothly." At that moment, I immediately started to have chills run through my spine. I was unsure what was happening. I was unsure of what the situation was going to lead to or how it was going to unfold. I open carried legally, registered in my name, a Glock 19 firearm, 9mm. This is a gun that I trained with for self-defense purposes that I once again lawfully own. I was not a convicted felon prior to this experience. So she was aware that I open carried this firearm and knew that I had it on my hip. And the situation ended up transpiring into attempting to extort me and intimidate me to turn over my firearm to them or either surrender a lump sum of money equivalent to $300 if I wanted to return home without any issues. So essentially, I was being kidnapped without being physically restrained, but I was told that I couldn't leave or there would be consequences. So after trying to reason with these guys, and the two gentlemen that I'm talking about, or I don't even know if that's the appropriate term considering what happened, but the two individuals that I'm talking about are by the name of Michael Johnson Jr. and Brandon Edmondson. These were considered the alleged victims in my case, along with Caitlin Barrier. Uh, so back to the point, I approached these two guys, and as I pull up, Caitlin tells me that I don't want any problems. She suggests that I comply and that this goes smoothly, or else it could be dire for me. So I take that as a threat on my life. So after trying to reason with these guys and talk when I'm not permitted to leave after pulling up at this location, with the firearm, I'm trying to do everything in my power to prevent from using deadly force to prevent from harming anybody, even though I do feel that my life is increasingly becoming more and more in danger by the second. So as this individual unlawfully boards my car in a hot swap where Caitlin exits the front passenger seat, and the man by the name of Michael Johnson unlawfully enters simultaneously as she hops out. Now I'm face to face with a man that I've never met. He relays a couple facts to me while sitting in the car to try to influence me to give him the gun. He tells me that he's just been released from prison. He's a convicted felon. That he's a member of a gang by the name of the Aryan Brotherhood, or AB, and that simply I don't want him.
This call is from a North Carolina correctional facility.
That I don't want any problems with him. That he's been shot before. That he's a tough guy, and that I need to do what he says. So face to face with this man, I try to create some distance after I realize there's no communicating to get through to him. I try to break away from my car. I was fully buckled into my seat at the time with my keys still in the ignition. I did not expect the transaction to happen where him and Caitlin would make the swap where he's suddenly in my vehicle unlawfully. It comes to a point where I remove my keys from the ignition, then I remove my seatbelt in an attempt to try to break away and create space to remove myself and create distance from this individual. During the process, he attempts to strip my keys from me as I'm removing them from the ignition. Then I try to secure my pistol grip of my firearm on my holster on my right hip, which is close on his side, where he could have easily accessed it had I been able to get out the car without being restrained. In that moment, it's when things really, really got dangerous. He attempted to access my firearm from my holster and utilize it. I had to deter that, and I had to prevent that. So I did. The only thing that I could do was to try to grab the pistol grip and maintain control and possession and dominance. I broke from his grip. The other individual by the name of Brandon Edmondson came around and kicked the front door of my car in as I'm wedged in between the door frame of the car and the actual door itself. The door crashes in and hits my knee. And at that moment, I realized that these guys were trying to take me down at all costs. So I draw my firearm and I initially hesitate. I don't pull the trigger right away. Both of them are unarmed at this point, even though I'm currently being assaulted. So I instantly, after drawing my firearm, realized that I'm a black male that just pulled a firearm in broad daylight in a public shopping center. And I'm conscious that my size and my appearance sometimes to a person that doesn't know me could be misconstrued, could be stereotyped. I could be considered as an aggressor just simply by my stature and my appearance and my color alone. So in fear of that, I instantly called 911 to prevent anybody else from taking any action or getting on the phone prior and relaying a false message, not knowing the facts of what really happened. I wanted the police to know straight from the source what was going on and have transparency in case anything escalated. So I called 911. As I'm trying to relay information to the operator, Brandon Edmondson and Michael Johnson continuously move around erratically, entering inside and reaching inside of their vehicle multiple times. It comes to a point where I'm waiting on police to arrive and nobody's there yet. And I'm anticipating Michael Johnson to produce a firearm from the rear passenger floorboard of the Honda that he came in. The same silver Honda Civic that I seen him and Brandon Edmondson leaning against when I arrived. As I see him reaching into the floorboard, I confront him and ask him, "What you got? What you got?" Right as I'm on the phone with 911, trying to relate to the operator what's happening. And Mike instantly tells me, without hesitation, that he has a weapon. A half of a second later, I see him produce what I describe as the silhouette of a firearm. I only got to see it for a split second, just barely a glimpse, and I didn't have time to make out a model. I wasn't even 100% sure if it was a firearm. I just know the shape and the construction and the material that it was made out of was metal, and the appearance was very similar for the small amount of time that I've seen it. And after being told what Mike had told me to try to intimidate me inside of his car, or inside of my car rather, when he unlawfully boarded my vehicle, that created an even heightened sense of fear, because now I'm concerned that this man is armed and dangerous and is out to kill me at this point, and no longer is concerned about trying to rob me or obtain my firearm. He's just simply out for revenge because I drew the gun on him to stop him from robbing. And in that instant, when he's reaching into that car, I open fire. The car is stationary at this point. Johnson has not even boarded the vehicle. He is on the right rear passenger side, leaning into the door, standing on the pavement of the parking lot. And I'm on the opposite side, the left rear passenger side, standing outside of the vehicle. The left rear passenger window was rolled down to where I was able to shoot without any barrier or obstruction and successfully strike Johnson to deter him and prevent him from being able to harm me in self-defense. And I relayed to the 911 authorities that I had opened fire, that shots were fired, and that I had did so because there was a firearm in the car.
You have 60 seconds remaining.
Because the firearm was in the car, not because the firearm was in the truck or in some other compartment of the car that was inaccessible, but because one was located in the cabin with the individuals that occupied the vehicle. Readily accessible, readily able to be produced.